I'm gonna just come right out and say it. I think the Dove Awards are weird. Now, if you are at all unfamiliar with what the Dove Awards are, the Gospel Music Association puts on what's called the Dove Awards, which is basically Christian music's answer to the Grammys for all intents and purposes. But why do I think the Dove Awards are weird? Do me a favor real quick. Look at this list of songs and tell me what's weird about them. If you answered that over half of them originally came out during the month of or before the eligibility period began, you'd be correct. Over half of them, 6 out of the 10 nominees for Song of the Year came out the month of or prior to the month of the eligibility period opening. This is possible due to some, frankly, odd eligibility requirements put in place by the Gospel Music Association. The only eligibility requirement for Song of the Year is that it has a relatively high amount of sales, airplay, and oddly enough, church performance. Now you might be saying, oh, it's a Gospel Music Awards, of course they're going to incorporate church performance, but we're talking about Song of the Year here. We're not talking about worship Song of the Year. We are talking about Song of the Year within Christian music. And to allow church performance to play any kind of role within eligibility for overall Song of the Year just kind of boggles me a little bit. This means that, one, outside of worship and gospel, songs of other genres really aren't considered, which is really disappointing considering how well pop, how well country, and especially how well rap has been doing, both in terms of artistry and in terms of streams and sales. And yet The Prodigal, a song that will be 2 full years old by the time next month rolls around, is nominated for Song of the Year. Secondly, and more important for the purposes of this video, we see that the earlier in the eligibility window, or even a little outside the eligibility window, that you release your song, the more likely it is going to be nominated for Song of the Year. The only 4 songs that made it out of the month of or before the eligibility window were released by Brandon Lake and Forrest Frank, both of which have had absolutely phenomenal years and beat the odds even despite the church performance requirement. This makes it practically impossible for smaller artists within the worship and gospel communities to actually be nominated, and fundamentally impossible for artists who are outside of worship and gospel to even be nominated. I want the GMA to do away with this fundamentally game system based solely off of numbers and to replace it with one that is more based on artistry so that we can see a wider variety of genres, which will then encourage smaller artists. But that's just me. Go in peace.